Okay, so success is always portrayed as a big leap. If you look it from far away, it will seem like that. But if you come close to it, you will realize that success is actually accumulation of small and big failures. It's a journey of transformation, and today we are here to celebrate one such transformation. We are here to celebrate the journey and success of our topper, Mr. Rahul, and we'll be learning a lot from this journey. But first, I need to welcome you. So, welcome, sir, to this platform, and I welcome you to EduTap. Today, we'll learn a lot about your journey. So, I'd like to welcome you and from all the EduTap family and all the aspirants.
Thanks a lot.
Right. So before we like jump into the journey, I think everybody who's watching this video will be interested in knowing more about your background. So just tell us a little about your educational background, where you from where did you did your graduation, or if you have post graduation, so where did you do it from, and how did then you come to the RBI?
Okay, so I am from a place called Dhanbad in Jharkhand, and I have done my schooling, 10th, 12th, as well as graduation. So my graduation was from petroleum engineering at ISM Dhanbad, and after that I was preparing for civils for around 6 years, and then I started preparing for regulatory body examinations, and that's how I think I came across RBI Grade B examinations, and this year I was fortunate enough to crack it.
Right. So at that time, did you join any job or you're not working?
After my graduation, I did not join any job, and I was full-fledged preparing for civil services. Recently, in 2022, I joined National Housing Bank as an assistant manager, and since then, like currently, I'm employed at National Housing Bank only.
I think after so many failures, it is just success after success, and I hope you'll be able to achieve everything that you are planning, like in future also. Now, when we are talking about this journey, right? So, if I'm talking about the UPSC, it's one of the toughest exam. If I'm being honest, I think it's one of the not one of the but the toughest exam in India, right? And then you crack the NHB, which itself is not an easy exam. And most of the UPSC aspirant and the other aspirant who felt burnout, giving different examination, they usually go for something easier, like some state examination at grade C level or something like that. So how did you come to transform your journey from UPSC to your current job to the RBI, which again itself is one of the toughest exam?
So while preparing for civil services, I think across all the subjects that I had, the general studies paper, the paper three was very thrilling and exciting to read about. So getting to know about the economy as well as other aspects of the economic regulatory bodies like RBI, SEBI, NABARD, NHB. So the functions they perform in this economy was something that I could relate to, and I was excited to be a part of them. So after I got many setbacks in civil services, I started preparing for regulatory body examinations as well as banking sector jobs as well. And that's how, first of all, I had my own self-interest in it because I was attracted towards economics as a subject. And most importantly, I wanted to work in a regulatory body. That's how I cracked NHB first, and then like now I cracked RBI as well.
Okay, so since you have told me that you were interested in regulatory body examination, and I think NHB is a great organization to be a part of, then why did you like choose the RBI? Because since most of the people who are preparing for regulatory body examination, they will be satisfied with like any of the position that any of the examination that you told us about. So if they like got to join it, they will be relaxed. So what made you choose, comparing to your current job, what made you choose RBI? Ki no, even if I'm in this job, RBI is my dream.
So even before working with NHB, I had a dream of working with RBI. After joining NHB, I think it got more strengthened because in a regulatory body like NABARD, SEBI, SIDBI, or NHB, like the domain expertise that we gain is very limited to that specific domain in which that regulatory body functions. With respect to RBI, since it is a complete like a banking system network that it regulates, supervises. That is what attracted me to work with RBI. And most importantly, when you realize that okay, you are going to be a part of the most important regulatory body of financial system in India, that is what is more exciting to be a part of it.
Right. So I think that is great that you wanted to expand your wings, right? Not just NHB, you had a dream of RBI and you go get that dream. But since you're working in NHB, I don't think it's easy to get that dream. Like it's easy to say, but working, you had fixed working hours and you had to like give your 100% at the job as well. And if I talk about most of the working candidates, they usually in the morning when they are waking up, the first thing is they want to reach their office on time. Once their office hour is done, they are exhausted. So I think it's really a challenging thing to manage your time. So how did you manage to, keep up with your preparation journey, keeping your professional life in line? How did you manage to do all this?
So since I joined NHB like last year itself, and I was on probation, so I had very limited number of leaves. But still, I wanted to capitalize on even on weekdays. I wanted to capitalize on my mornings. Since by evening, when you come back from the job, you get a little exhausted and you're not able to concentrate that much. So I utilized my mornings. I used to wake up early, and I had a schedule made in my mind as well as on my notes that okay, tomorrow I'm going to prepare this, tomorrow I'm going to study this, and try to complete as much as possible before leaving for office. If I was unable to complete it, I would even study during office hours, like in my phone, or like listen to podcasts. So this continuous learning process, which happened like during early morning in the day, as well as along office hours, between office hours, like going to the library and then studying. So these all shaped me, increased my knowledge, so as to be able to be prepared for the exam whenever it's announced.
Right. I think that is great that what I can get it is you don't have to like strictly that if you're in office, don't open the notes, don't, look at the phone. If you get time, be it in minutes, be it in hours, utilize it toward your preparation, especially when you're working candidate.
Yes, yes, that's very important actually, because there are so many white spaces that you will find in between your work as well. So if you're doing something which requires 2 hours of work, once you are done, you will have like a short 10 to 15 minutes break. So rather than like going outside or even suppose gossiping or relating to office gossips, rather than engaging in those, you can have your own time to finish upon subjects, finish upon topics, read about newspapers. So those things can be completed within office hours itself.
I think that is great. You have given some idea. Ki, okay, one can go for news using the newspaper, which he or she might be getting in the office itself, right? And also opening the phone in between. That is great. Now, when we are talking about your job, since you are new employee, right, in a NHBS also, so did your job, like boss, or did the other higher up or the people around you, known that okay, you're preparing for the examination of RBI?
There was a knowledge about it, but like if somebody gets to know that okay, the exam is approaching, there might be some friction. So that's why I would try to keep it a secret only until the day arrives that okay, this is my exam day and I need like a few days off, 1 or 2 days off before the exam. So that's how you used to manage. Like you should not be very out outgoing also about it, that okay, I'm going to prepare this exam. You can be discreet about it, yeah, in a passing by reference. Keep your reporting officer informed so that they are able to support, if not support, at least not obstruct that journey.
So I think that is great for all the new employees or the working employees. It can be a lesson what to do, in such situations. So coming to now your journey, right? So since you were preparing for UPSC for such a long time, so what lesson were there that you have learned while preparing in the UPSC that transformed your journey of preparing for RBI examination? What was some lesson?
So while preparing for civil services, the whole aspect of studying full, like completely devoting your time for preparing for civil services would mean making notes, making revision friendly shortcuts so that you're able to revise it on time. This is what I think helped me in RBI also. As in, when I was preparing for RBI, I would ensure that whatever notes I would make out of the content that I'm reading, it is ready for revision as well. If I cannot make a revision friendly note out of a topic, I don't think so that topic deserves to be completed. because otherwise, if I'm not able to revise it 2 days before, I don't think so I can reciprocate it in the examination hall. While especially this is not even writing with paper, it has to be typed. The examination descriptive paper has to be typed. So it's very important that whatever notes, whatever you are studying, has to be concise. It has to be made concise, and it has to be highlighted in such a manner that it strikes your mind very vividly. That okay, this is what I need to code. This is what I need to write in examples or in points or in whatever format you want to make. Either if you prefer making notes digitally, if you prefer making notes on copy and pen, that's also fine.
So I think to summarize it all, I would like to say कि when from UPSC you have learned कि whenever you are making the notes, they should be your go-to notes. Like whether you want to revise it, whether you want to, look for something in the last minute, it should not be like कि somebody is confused. Where should I start? Where should I end? The notes and the study should be done so, I would say simultaneously, that at the last moment and every path you have your notes with you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, since the journey itself, when we are talking about, is not the easy one, nobody has a smooth ride of preparation from this point to this point. There are some ups, there are some downs. So, let's talk about some obstruction or obstacles that you will have to face, that you had to face while you were preparing for RBI.
So while preparing for RBI, like the most important obstacle which I think a working candidate will definitely face is the paucity of time that you will face. And there might be some friction from your colleagues or your superiors in your organization as well. So you have to manage both. You have to take that in hand because there, like some people might be at a moment in their life wherein they cannot leave the job. So in such cases, you have to manage the job along with your study hours, apart from work hours. Since working is like, if it's in a government sector job, it's a 8 hour or a 10-hour job. Now that 10-hour job, after a 10-hour job, maybe you'll not be in that state of mind to study more. So you have to ensure that you get 2 or 3 hours before that. So that time management and ensuring that you have a like a good relation in your office as well, so that there is no friction, there is no hindrance, nobody is obstructing to you giving an exam. That I think was the main obstruction, but I think it can be overcome with some clear management techniques that you can employ.
Yes. So, as I can learn from this, so mainly it is about balancing
Yeah.
between your preparation and between working and working well so that nobody going to question you on your work.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that is great. So were there some mistakes that you have made? Maybe some people who are new to this journey, who are or just planning to, will be making in the future that you have made, and would you like to shed some light and how to avoid those mistakes too?
So earlier I used to treat the phase one and phase two exams separately, but I think that's a big mistake that people can go. I understand, like it is very important to understand that phase one exam is qualifying in nature, but it is a make or break. So one has to qualify it at any cost. But when you're preparing for phase one, you should be keeping in mind that there is a phase two exam also coming, which will be hardly 20 days after phase one. So if when you're making notes for phase one examination, you should be also keeping something in mind that okay, there is a phase two exam also. So the points that you are taking, the data points that you're noting down, any trends that you're noting down, any report that you're covering has to be covered with the framework of appearing for both phase one as well as phase two. So that integrated preparation for both phase one as well as phase two is what I used to miss early in earlier attempts. I think this was rectified by me in this attempt, and I think it paid off.
So I think that is a great strategy that if one should start, when he's just starting his preparation, he should not be like, "Ki, okay, this time I'll focus on phase one, next I'll focus on phase two." He or she should start integrated preparation, be it for only just like you said, current affair. So if he's noting down some data, he or she should have this in mind, ki, okay, I can use this data for writing the answer like this, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that is great. That is great. Now let's talk about your support system, because the journey again that you said ki you were working also, you were preparing also, so you also had personal life. So who was your biggest support system at this time, and who you would say was your unsung hero?
So my family, my sister, and my best friend. So these people have been around me in my failures as well as in my successes. So like I would give them a lot of credit with respect to how they have helped me rise from the bottom. whenever I was down, whenever I was unable to clear some exam, because most exams I could not clear before this. So that support system ensured that you have to push forward, you have to rise back and just start preparing. Like continuous enhancement of one's knowledge is what the goal should be, and the result will ultimately follow.
I think that is great. That is great. That if one like have a healthy support system, and just like you give credit to your mother, your sister, and your best friend, so I think if one have that, he's feeling a little lost or a little down, people are there to cheer him up. He or she will be able to bounce it back. So, since your journey was this long, did you ever felt burnout? Ki, okay, I'm done with this. I feel like so lost. And how did you bounce back?
I think the timeline of RBI's preparation, I think, doesn't give you an option or even a time to get burnout, because the time wherein notification is announced, then you have phase one, then you have phase two, and then interview. It's in such a short amount of time that there will be no option of burnout. I don't think so, because in my case, it was more like as soon as the notification came, you're preparing for phase one. After phase one, you're waiting for the result. After the result, you're preparing for phase two. After phase two, preparing for interview. So it's a continuous process. And if you fail at any stage, you just wish like you take some time and then just go back to where you started back. So it's just restarting the whole game of how the cycle of phase one, phase two, and interview. That has to be your basic motto, that you have to clear each phase of exam. That's it.
So I think it was blessing in disguise, right? That you had such a short time that okay, no, every time there was something in mind that was working on. Okay, okay, I'll have to prepare for phase one. I'll have to prepare for phase two. I'll do this. So you had no time to even relax. So burnout was out of the question, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because these regulatory body exams have a very unique thing that they complete the whole process in a very short time.
Right. I think that is great of RBI also. So
Yeah.
those of you who are feeling like burnout, go for RBI. I think RBI will give you no time to even think about rest of the things. Your only focus would be RBI.
Yeah, once the notification is announced, I don't think so anyone has any breathing time as well. So you just get, if you have not been preparing, start preparing. If you have been preparing, just boost it up, like accelerate your pace so as to reach there.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Now, when we are talking about the journey, now people what they do, they cut out the whole relationship with social media. So what was in your case? Didn't you feel FOMO ki okay, I'll have to connect, or was it like ki you did manage to prepare and also look at the social media?
So digitally, I was cut out, but physically, I was present with my friends, with my family. I would all often go on trips with my friends, along with my sister, my family members. So that was never absent. Like physical interaction was never absent. Digital interaction was completely absent, I will say, because I am not present on any social media, except the fact that, okay, kind of follow news on Twitter and everything, but nothing like which engages me for long hours. So that was absent, but physically I would devote my time if there are some weekends wherein I'm planning with some place with my friends, so that I'll be present, that's for sure.
Right. So what would you say was the biggest sacrifice that you have made while you were preparing, if it was not social media?
I guess like because of social media, because of not being on social media, you tend to miss out on gatherings of your school friends or your college friends, because then you are very distant. People are placed in different parts of the world, and if they are meeting up, you will not get any information. So such kind of you will be little bit away from such kind of gatherings. That's for sure. But that's a sacrifice that you have to pay, I think. So.
Was it worth it?
I think so. It's worth it for the in the end if it all
Yes,
turns
yes.
out well.
So I think those of you who are struggling with FOMO, you can learn that even if you are giving up social media, you are giving it. I would say it is not a lifetime you are missing out on something. For the time of preparation, yes, you will have to say no to some things, and one of the thing was social media, right? So what is the first thing now you are selected candidate? So what is the first thing that you are planning? Ki, okay, I have missed out on this, and I'll have to like go on and catch on this.
So I've been meeting friends like my school friends, college friends who I have not talked to for like 6 years or 8 years. They're like I'm getting back in touch with them. So that is the first thing that I'm doing.
Okay, so catching up with friends again
Yeah,
is a great thing, right?
yeah.
That is great. That is great. Now, let's jump to your journey. Okay, your preparation journey. So when we are talking about this, since you were preparing for UPSC, and how did you transform that to RBI examination? Was it like ki, okay, you first get some guidance from some XYZ, or was it like ki you get some information on that, or based on your preparation, you just pick one subject and start preparing? How did it all start? We'll talk about the subjects one by one, but first, the start we want to know.
So the journey transformed in such a manner that since out of all the subjects in UPSC, which intrigued me more was economics and GS3. So I started looking for jobs in this field. Thereupon I stumbled upon RBI. And once I got to see its past year's papers, question papers, its syllabus, what all topics they are asking, uh, I started reading about them like a cursory reading. Okay, like this topic has these many theories, this topic has these many topics that you need to cover, the current affairs that you're reading. Once you get a cursory reading of it, you tend to think that, okay, this might be tough, but this is doable as well. So why not try it? That's how I transferred my preparation for civil services to RBI.
Right, right. So while you were preparing, did you have some hobbies also that you kept, or was it like, since I have given up on social media also, I have a working life also, so it will be just my job and the preparation.
I always like had some kind of activity which associated with me. So like since I think childhood only I liked painting, so I would continue that. I also liked reading about stars, like cosmology and the universe as per se, stargazing. So these kind of activities would continue in my life, reading books, poetry. So such kind of things have always been a part of my life, and I don't think so I sacrificed on it. It might be like I did not concentrate very much on that, but yeah, though they have been a constant part of my life.
Okay, on this note, can you name one of your favorite book?
Like favorite book at this moment, like recently I read Sapiens, and it was like very intriguing. I was very excited with the knowledge that book had. So yeah.
Okay, that is great. So those of you who, I think it is very important to know even the smallest detail, not just because you can be like them or you will be like that, but yes, if you want to be a topper, you also, have to have that mentality, I think, that kind of direction. So that is why it is also important that you know a little more about the toppers, not just their strategy and their books. So, but strategy still is a very important part. So let's talk about this. So first, let's talk about the phase one. So in the phase one RBI, we do know there is quant, reasoning, English, and then we have GA. There is sectional timing also, there is sectional cutoff also, and there is merit cutoff also. So let us talk about the sources that you refer to for each subject. So I'll be taking one by one subject that you refer to, and how did you cover those sources? So share with us the sources and the strategy. Let's start with quants.
So I think in quant, reasoning, and English, I think I can club it together because for all the three subjects, I already had been practicing in UPSC and other examinations as well. So my strategy was to focus on improving what I already know. So I would always give mocks and improve upon if suppose I do a question and if I did it in 2 minutes 30 seconds, and if I see in the timer that okay, some person has done it in 1 minute 10 seconds as well, so I would try to accelerate my pace because that question is doable. Now it's a matter of reducing my time. If there is some question which I was not able to attempt, then I would get to know the strategy behind attending such type of questions. Then I would focus on that topic specifically. I would Google, I would go on YouTube and search for such kind of questions. I would practice like 10 to 50 questions with that topic, and that would make me comfortable with that topic. This was the strategy which I employed for quantum reasoning, continuous evaluation through mocks and improving upon both time aspect as well as accuracy aspect. Then for English, my preparation was mostly related to newspapers. I would be regularly reading editorials either on mobile or in physical newspapers. And that helped me a lot actually to even get to know new words and understand the passage, how it's written, what like I would read comprehension in a much more uh, like a dicey manner. I would not consider reading the whole paragraph at once. I would first read the questions and then make sure that I go back to the reading comprehension so as to get the answers. So that in a whole, like my mock tests as well as the newspaper reading habit, ensure that my quant reasoning English was completed on time.
Okay, so if I have to summarize, so for quant reasoning, basically, whatever sources that you have referred to earlier, I think it is for all the examination also. If somebody is preparing for even banking examination,
Yes.
SSC examination, the topic does not differ that much. But yes, here the I would say कि difficulty level since is different, so one should focus on accuracy and he or she should focus also on the speed part for content reasoning, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And if
It's
we are coming to English, I think if somebody is reading the newspaper in long run, it is also good. It will not only help with the vocabulary, but new words, everything, right? So
exactly.
English you refer to for your newspaper, you refer to for your English section,
Yeah,
and for decision for your content reasoning, you refer to your sources that you already had,
yeah,
right? Improving the time or so, giving the full length mock test, right?
yes, yes,
Okay, now let's come to the big bear, that is our general awareness,
yeah.
which I know is of a lot of marks. It is one subject that if you score well, ensures that you will be able to clear the merit. Otherwise, it can be a little dicey, right? So, what were your sources for your GA part? And also, since you are from UPSC background, the general assumption is if somebody is coming from the UPSC background, they already have a hold over the GA part. Is it true? First of all, I'd like to know that for that. And second, if not, then how did you manage to prepare separately for the RBI?
So I don't think so anyone has an edge, because general awareness is about like being aware of everything around you. So everybody has experiences, everybody has seen things in their own life, be it part of the constitution, be it part of the economic aspect. So the static questions which are asked in general awareness paper, I think some parts might be known to an UPSC aspirant, some parts might be known to a banker, some parts might be known to other domain specialists. So I would not say anyone holds us like a key advantage. Now coming to the dynamic part. Dynamic part is completely different as compared to what you would prepare for UPSC. In this, you have to focus on data points. You have to focus on reports. You have to focus on a lot of memory power to recall what you have read. So my strategy was to prepare for 4 months before examination, and I used very limited amount of sources because I did not have the time also. Plus, I did not want to pressure myself with multiple sources, so that my whole objective was to revise very efficiently in the last 7 days before the exam. So I used EduTap current affairs module as well as the compilation which are were available on EduTap's YouTube channel. The revision series that happened, marathon sessions which happened before the exam, were very helpful in helping me revise, because I had a revision and it was just a checking part of it.
Mhm.
So limited sources ensured that okay, I was comfortable with it. Maybe the questions came from that or not, I cannot comment on it. But what is very sure is that it gave me confidence to face the exam.
Right. So, how important would you say is actually the full length mock test, the mock before the actual examination? How important are they?
I would say they are as important as attempting the exam, because if you have not attempted, say, 10 mocks, then you have not seen the journey wherein you could improve in the mocks. And if you have not seen yourself improving, there's a little lack of confidence that you might face in the exam, because exam is a pressure situation. Even good people tend to get less marks and they are not able to qualify in certain sectional cutoffs. So it's a holistic preparation which is going to matter. Doesn't matter if you are able to score 60 out of 80 in general awareness if you are not able to clear the cutoff in quant, reasoning, or English. So it's important to be aware of the fact that there are sectional cutoffs and there are overall cutoffs. You have to clear both. So a balanced preparation strategy, which includes giving mocks, because without giving mocks, you will not be able to even think about timing, because in the actual examination, time just flies by. So you have to ensure that you are well prepared for the actual day of the exam.
Right. So to summarize your summarize your strategy for GA, it was you refer to the limited sources and you focused on the revision. You take help of the marathon session, revision session, whatever all those. But it was not like you only rely on those. You prepared, and for revision purpose you rely on those. Right.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
great. And you also shared with us the valuable insights on the value of mock test. So if somebody have not given enough mock, He's not even in the position to understand his own weaknesses where he should work on, right? So I think that is great insight. Now, one tip you will like to share with us regarding the phase 1.
So regarding phase one, most important thing for general awareness is revision, and for other parts as a whole, I think it is going to be your mock tests.
Right. So I can take it mocks plus revision.
Yeah.
That will like prepared and make you, holistically cover the phase 1 syllabus. That is
Yes.
great. Now let's talk about your phase 2. So first of all, once you are done with the phase 1 part, did you immediately start preparing for phase 2? Was it like initially you give 10%, 30% and after result or you entirely wait for after the result you will start preparing?
So since there was little like confusion in my mind as to whether I'll qualify phase one or not, so my initial days were completely spent on preparing for management because I thought that this is a static portion. If even if I'm not able to clear this year, I think this knowledge will be helpful next year. So I started preparing for management and finance basic static concepts. Once the result was declared, then I started focusing on the dynamic aspect of it, the notes that I had prepared. And since I had already said that when you're preparing for phase one, you have to prepare notes for phase two as well. So those notes helped me a lot. Ensured that, okay, I'm able to cover whatever current affairs is there, uh, like past 6 months. I can cover it in time because there's hardly any time left after the announcement of the result of phase one. It's hardly 10 to 12 days. So it's important that you have already prepared the static portion and the dynamic portion is only up for revision. It's just that you have to little memorize the data points and have an analytical analysis of whatever you're reading.
Right. So for phase 2, I can say ki you started preparing, not like 200%, but yes, well enough you have started to prepare. And after you see your roll number in the phase 2 mains ke result, so you were phase 2, so you were like, okay, I am appearing in this. So you start preparing everything, like whatever you have left out and also revising simultaneously, right? So I think
Yeah.
that is great strategy. Now let's talk about component wise, how did you prepare? So first let's talk about FM. Since you are from UPSC background, FM was comparatively somehow new to you, and it's one of the most important components since it holds good amount of marks. So how did you tackle that component? What were your sources for this, and how did you cover those sources as well?
So for finance and management, I will say the most important aspect was to create whatever static portion that I had read from multiple sources. I created crisp notes out of it. I was continuously adding since I had been giving RBI exam for the last 3 years. So I would keep on adding my static portion, keep it updated with any new knowledge, multiple sources like EduTap, managementstudyguide.com, and other such sources which I would find just by Googling or going on YouTube. So every aspect of management was covered by me beforehand itself. So that helped.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
for finance and management, you did that.
Yeah.
And next we are talking about the ESI part.
Yeah.
Right. So how much like you are confident in ESI since you have covered the economics in, your UPSC days. So how much confident you were and what did you do different? Ki, okay, this time ESI should not be like overconfident, although I have some background, but this is the part that I should cover.
Yeah. So I think I was a little bit comfortable with the fact that, okay, I can write answers, but the scary part was the objective questions because they are a little out of the blue. They can ask anything under the sun. So with respect to that, I prepared very comprehensively the reports and other government schemes which are covered like through EduTap, through Vision 365 document, because I think UPSC exam was also very near, so they had released that compilation. So that helped me cover like a 1 year background of all the finance, economics and social issues which had happened. It was very crisp also. So I would make notes out of it. I would ensure that, okay, I remember the data points and I'm able to make revision friendly notes. So that ensured that I'm prepared for both the objective as well as the subjective part of it. Because subjective part, first thing is the art of answer writing, and the second thing is to complement it with data points. So the objective preparation that you do is going to help you in descriptive preparation as well.
Right. So I think for FM and I think ESI, your strategy was great, right? You didn't go too far away. You just attempted your style.
Yeah.
It was like, ki, okay, I'll prepare from EduTap, but I have to refer to other sources also. I can Google some things also to understand. I think in general, it was very good strategy for FM also. And for ESI, you also did focus on the objective. Usually people coming from the, economics background, or if they have knowledge of economics, they tend to get overconfident. But it was not the case with you, and that is great to hear. Everybody can take a page from your book, कि no matter how much confident you are, if the subject and section is there, please be prepared. So that is great. Now let's come to the descriptive English part. So descriptive English, we have essay, we have Pressy, we have reading comprehension. For everything, how did you start preparing? Let's start with essay, then let's talk about the Pressy, and then lastly we'll talk about the reading comprehension. So please share it.
So for the essay part, I'll say, like, I love writing essays in general as well. So I love writing articles also. So in that manner, whenever I would read a topic, I would just imagine, okay, this is a topic that might come for essay. And since RBI has a very limited number of words to write an essay, it's more like an answer itself. So you have to condense whatever knowledge you are. If you have prepared for UPSC, you would be tempted to write more, but it should not be the strategy. The strategy should be to condense as much possible in as less number of words, because time is going to be of very immense constraint. If you don't limit yourself, you might not be able to complete the paper itself, whereas all the three portions, as you said, hold equal amount of marks. So why should you compromise on it? So essay should be, first of all, you need to practice like 4 to 5 different topics, and that itself will give you enough content. Plus, your preparation for phase 2 itself will embolden you to write essay in a much more better manner. And then coming to Pressy was something which I was not very comfortable with. So I practiced with newspaper itself. I would take an article and condense it into 1/3. I'll write it down. I'll evaluate it, get it evaluated by my friends, by my colleagues. That would help. Reading comprehension was more of an impromptu version. Like, okay, after reading the question, then I would go to the comprehension and try to answer the question within the limits of the passage, not go outside. Don't use my knowledge. Like, that is the whole aspect which was going in my head, that you should not input any other knowledge which is not present in the passage. So those limitations were there, those boundaries were there, and within those boundaries I used to write.
Right. I think so. This is again really great thing that for essay you make use of your interest and hobbies, right? If anybody have this interest, he or she should do. But can you just refer to some sources? Ki, okay, if you're not interested in like writing in journal, but if you're preparing for RBI, these are the things that you should do, or you should read the editorial newspaper or some refer to some sources. So what would you suggest to such candidates?
I think in terms of essay writing, I had a habit of reading these speeches by RBI governors and deputy governors, anything published by RBI on its website. That helps a lot because that has immense knowledge, particularly pertaining to RBI. So that would help you frame answers as well, because the way they articulate their speech, they articulate their lectures, that itself is very comprehensive in manner. I would not say to go and learn the whole lecture. So suppose if there is a financial inclusion lecture given by Shakti Kanta Das, you should not be replicating the same, but you can take like excerpts from it, you can take points from it, and you can learn from it. So that, I think, will be a great source if somebody wants to prepare for for
Yeah,
essays, right?
I think that's a different approach, but that is great that if you want to crack RBI, talk in the lingo of RBI. So for that, you can refer to the speech, and of course, it will be difficult to memorize the whole speech. But yes, if you can zone down, or if some points stick with you, make use of that in essay. That is great. That is great, I would say. Now, when we are talking about the phase two, especially for descriptive writing, since we have, in the FM part, we also have descriptive writing. In ESI, we have descriptive writing. Descriptive English is wholly descriptive writing. So it becomes a challenge, especially in terms of word limit and typing speed. And you were a UPSC aspirant, and UPSC aspirant, although they, write a lot, make a lot of notes, but that is all done by hand. So they have a good writing speed, but typing speed was not there. So how much, first of all, you will value the word limit? Then how much would you say ki, okay, this much speed is, or you should have, this much kind of speed if you want to crack RBI examination?
So I'll say having a decent speed will be more than enough. But to get that decent speed, if somebody is not very comfortable with typing, it's just advisable to buy a mechanical keyboard and start writing the essays. You can just note down the skeleton of an essay and start thinking in your mind and framing the essay and just typing it. So that will give you a little practice. This way, you'll be able to practice the essay part as well, along with you will have a typing practice as well. So that will enable you to have a decent speed as well. Coming to the word count, I will say word count is not at all sacrosanct. So you should not think that it's a 600 words answer, so have to write 580 words or at least 600 words. It should not be like that. If you're able to convey your answers, your points, your solutions that you're putting forward in 300 words, 400 words, that's more than enough. You should never be chasing word limit. You should be chasing content. You should be chasing the approach that you're trying to communicate to the examiner. So that should be your whole objective. And if you're able to achieve that objective in less number of words, that is how you should go forward. Because if somebody goes behind word limit, it's very difficult to complete the paper also. So that's a very important point to note, I think.
Yeah, I think that is very important for everybody to note down because it create a lot of havoc once phase one is done. So if typing speed, decent typing speed one should have. If he or she is comfortable at this moment of time, they keep doing it continuously. If somebody feels like he is slowing down or he'll not be able to meet, complete the answers, so one should start practicing the notes itself or practicing whatever you have read earlier so that he got the typing speed also, he got or she got the revision also. Then coming to the word limit, you said ki one should try to convey maximum information using minimum word rather than just trying to write extra word to meet the word limit. I think that is great advice. Now, when we are talking about the descriptive component, since it was new for you and it will be new for many people, so what is the one piece of advice you like to share with us regarding the descriptive writing?
I will say from the start of preparation, always think of whenever you're coming across a data point, always think how can I use it in an answer. When you have that frame of mind, and if you're highlighting that data point that, okay, I can use it, then you will remember it in the answer sheet as well, and that is going to replicate in the quality of the answer as well. If you're able to make a point and then suffice it with a data point and quote the source as well, nothing is much more better than that. That will convince the examiner that you know the topic, you know the latest data regarding it, and there is no bluffing in the examination paper that you're writing. So while preparing, you should never think that, okay, this is going to be used in phase one only. It is going to be used in phase two as well. It can be used in interview as well. So it's a whole holistic preparation. So you should never divorce one part of it from the other.
Right. So I think I can just jolt it down to it is all about balance. So if one cannot be like, "Ki I'll again separately preparing for phase one. If you're preparing, just have that in your mind where I can use it. Have that skeleton always in your mind. Whenever you find information, start filling it. That is great advice, I would say. So did you also appear in some kind of mock test to, prepare for the phase two? And how important again you feel like for phase one, they are extremely important, but for phase two, is the importance same?
Phase two, I will say mock tests do not gain that much importance because it will not be able to help you a lot in terms of like hitting the questions, I'll say. But it is very important in terms of descriptive because that will give you a little practice beforehand itself. That, okay, if there are three questions that you have to answer in 30 minutes, how are you going to divide the time? So that is how the phase two mocks will help you in
Mhm.
management of time, better management of time.
Right. So if somebody is appearing in phase two, he or she should try to give full length mock test, keeping in mind it will help me to prepare for the descriptive writing in terms of accuracy, in terms of speed as well. That is great. Now, when we are talking about the phase two was done, how confident you were? Ki, okay, this time my phase two is great. And when did you start preparing for interview?
So I was like not very confident, but I had little bit inkling that it might happen as well. So since I love reading newspapers, so I would not stop that habit. I would continuously read like economic newspapers and general newspapers as well to have a understanding of what's happening in the world of economics in India. And that habit helped me when the result came because then I was not like completely ill prepared. I had my notes, but after the declaration of result, it was much more streamlined and my interview preparation was much more streamlined into several aspects of my biodata, my personal information, my graduation, my UPSC preparation, my NHB work experience, and then why do you want to join RBI, and such kind of HR questions. So these kind of questions were only prepared after the declaration of result. Before that, I was just reading and grasping all the knowledge that I could get.
I think that's also great that you are not discontinuing, you are not getting completely out of touch. You are in touch in terms of in terms of your newspaper, but once you see your name selected for interview, start giving your 100%. Did you also prepare some list of probable question like you told us about the HR question, the profile based question? So did you prepare that also?
Yeah, actually, I prepared a lot of questions, around 100 to 200 questions for each part of my profile, I think. And that helped me narrow down what all could be the pain points and how to answer it in a much more uh, not to condescend anyone, but to put forward my point as well. So the most important aspect is you communicate, but in a very formal tone, and it should not be very casual. The answer should not be very casual in nature. So that's how those questions were prepared. And once I gave one mock interview, that helped me even prepare more regarding the questions that could come regarding my profile. So that streamlined my preparation even better.
That's great. So once you like you gave interview, did it result into ki, okay, this interview was great, I can take a good nap? Or was it like ki, no, I should not have said that, I could do better, or maybe not? So what was the case after the interview?
After the interview preparation, like since I had already given one interview before, so I had a comparative better experience in this interview. The interview panelists were much more cordial and they acknowledged my work experience at this moment. So the whole experience was more of a formal conversation which was happening between people. That's it. So that gave me a good feeling. Not like I'll just qualify because of the interview, but yeah, I had a good feeling about the interview.
Right, and I that good feeling also gave result. You were selected for that. I just tell me the moment when you see the name in your list. What was the first feeling that you were able to do, and what was the first thing afterward that you did?
So once, like first of all, I think I was in my office when the result was declared, and one of my friends called that okay, the result is declared. Then I checked, and once I found that okay, my name is there. First of all, I double checked it because I was not sure that okay, it's my roll number itself. And then I called my family, my friends, people started calling me as well. So yeah, that's how I think the moment was there.
So, they are still calling you Rahul, or is it now Officer Rahul?
No, it's just Rahul, I think.
Okay, that
Yeah,
is lovely.
yeah.
That is great. So, okay, since you were preparing for UPSC, this is the last question that I have for you. Was that the time that preparing for both the examination, because even in the RBI it was not first attempt, was there the time that there you will have to make prioritize your subject? So ki, okay, I'll have to prepare UPSC and I'll have to prepare give up on the RBI, because many a candidate, what they do, they prepare for multi examination, right? And they might come across this issue where they'll have to prioritize their examination. So what would you suggest from your past experience, since you have prepared for UPSC, you have prepared for multiple regulatory body examination, ultimately you also cracked NHB, you cracked RBI. So just some words from you.
So I think, like in my experience, in my journey as well, there were several moments wherein multiple examinations would clash, and one such examination such happened that RBI mains exam, I think, UPSC prelims exam, I think, was clashing. Like it was within a week or so. So I had to sacrifice on RBI to prepare for civil services. Uh, so I think making that decision is very important, and making that decision early on is also extremely important. If you try to make that decision very close to the examination date, then you will miss out on both the
Mm.
clashing examinations. So it's very important to take a stand and stick to it rather than putting yourself in both the situation wherein you are not able to like succeed in any of it.
Okay, don't like step on two boats, you'll
Yeah,
definitely drown.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So I would say that is great advice. Prioritize your examination, note out what dates they are, and then select, "Okay, okay, I'll prepare for this examination. Afterward, if the time permit, of course, go for the other examination," right? So if I
Exactly.
have to summarize your whole journey, I would say it was a great and very exciting journey to listen about. Even you had your fair share of failures, you have your fair share of struggles, but then great success come to you in form of NHB, and then you like worked hard even after getting the job. you manage your time well, you refer to the sources well. And see, most of all, if from somebody, na, if I listen to from my side, what I can see different in you, it was how you managed. You didn't go for typical ki, okay, if XYZ said this is the way I should prepare, you didn't go for that. You make your Rahul strategy and you followed that. You trusted yourself, which is a very important part, and you trusted this whole process. And I think, uh, beside you, your hard work and your family's hard work, I'll also like to give credit to your intelligence and your smart way that you have shown, right? And it is going to be a great lesson for everybody who's listening here. It was so different and so refreshing also to hear. So thank you so much. I wish you luck. One last tip or the ultimate lesson, I would say, that you want to share with the future aspirant who will be watching this video, who are watching this video, and such lesson you want to deliver.
Like, I would say just focus on revision. That's it. Always think of revision before examination. Without it, I don't think so. One is comfortable also. You feel like you're cheating with yourself if you're giving exam, if you're not able to revise. So yeah,
I
my suggestion is that.
I think that is great coming from you with a lot of experience and a lot of success also. Always focus on revision, right? Don't question it because it is coming from somebody who have gone through the phases also and have successfully cracked this examination. So it was great talking to you, Rahul. I wish you luck for future. I hope you do well in the organization. It's a great organization that you have joined. RBI would provide you a lot of opportunity career wise also, right? So all the best for your future also. And I'm so happy and so relieved. And I like to also congratulate you again on your success. And thank you for being here with us and sharing your journey with us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.